Recently, I'm back to interviewing. This video is a clip from one of the recent companies that I interviewed with. Basically, in this interview, I was being asked about a very specific project experience. That was a question I wasn't really prepared for. I didn't expect something like that to come up. Like, I cannot come up with a specific example, even though I'm sure I have done something like that in the past, but just like I could not come up with enough details on the spot. There's no way I can directly answer that question. But then somehow I was able to basically just dodge the bullet and get around that question and give a satisfactory answer by leading that question somewhere else, like leading it to somewhere I'm more comfortable with, which I can provide more context. And I think this is a very common scenario when people are interviewing. Like, there's no way you can prepare for everything perfectly. So I just want to share that video. Also, if you're new here, my name is Carl. On this channel, I make content on English, careers, interviews, and also some random stuff from my personal learning. So if you're into it, subscribe, and let's just get into the video.
I want to go back to like a really complex analysis that you did. I want the example. What was the goal? What was the approach? What happened with it? And then what was the impact? So basically a different example, but it was like a very complex analysis you did.
How would you define complex? Because I feel like, okay, I did so many like ad hoc analysis when I was, and they're like very specific and like lower scale, which is like, I wouldn't say they're complex. It's just like I was gathering information here and there, build a quick model, and then show something that was not easily discoverable on the surface. But I don't know if that's considered. Do you want to know like how I build my model or like what?
No, not like how you actually built the model, but more like what was the approach and the impact? Like, and when I say approach, not like literally, like you know, but like what was the like? If you give me an example, like what was the goal of that ad hoc project that you did? What happened with it? And like, what was the impact? Like something that like drove a meaningful uplift in something.
I think for most of my project that has this data analysis element, and also I have to get some buy-in from stakeholder. The biggest challenge has most of the times has never been in the technical side, like building the model. It's more about getting the context. And a lot of the things were not in any playbooks, which I cannot find anywhere unless I talk to people. I have to reach out, I have to frame those things properly. Like sometimes for example, our management saw, okay, why is the Q2 burn rate down for a certain segment? That's like a pretty vague question, right? So I have to figure out who to talk to. And also for those people that, okay, I know this is a team I want to talk to, but I am not a director or a leader of this team. People don't want to talk to me because they have their deadline, they have their priorities. Like I need to just like make my way through to talk to the right person to find the proper information. And from there, I was able to know, okay, this is the data that's most relevant to this analysis, which I can put into my model. And maybe I tweak the model a little bit. So I think the actual analysis part takes like maybe 20% of the whole time I'm spending, but how do I navigate? It's like 80%. So I don't know if that's a specific example you're looking for.
No, that's the right like level that we can kind of dig into. So like how did you find success like in navigating a large hierarchical organization as like, you know, like it's different people, it's different reporting structures, like you guys all have different priorities. How were you able to successfully find someone willing to speak, find the right person willing to speak with you to like help you with your project?
Yeah, I would say that's something I would, if I join a large organization, that's something I would start doing even from the onboarding process. So I try to reach out to every single possible person I possibly work with in the future, or at least there's some overlap, people on the team that I'll be engaging with where we have some mutual dependencies. I'll try to figure out what they do and what would they possibly need from me. And I'm building that relationship since like day one. So then sometimes I don't know how a large tech firm works like, but like if you don't know those person very well, they're not willing to talk to you. And I can't just like directly message a director of another team. Like my boss was like, oh, you cannot do that because that's how banks are. So I think that's the importance of building personal connection and having like some, chit chat. So if I know this person well, I somehow know another person on his team, what he does, and then something came up, I will start from someone I know very well or someone I have direct access to. So it's not like a black and white process. Like there's a lot of nuance to it, but I think that's just how it works at large organization.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hope you find this enjoyable and helpful. And just a disclaimer that I'm not posting this as something along the lines of a playbook or some formulaic method or some sort of lines that I recommend you to kind of just memorize and like use it in your interviews, like, or try to completely copy me, because I don't think that's possible. And I think something like this is very situational. Like every case is different and you really have to catch a vibe. Like in my case, in this interview, I kind of caught the vibe of the person I was speaking with. Like he was kind of agreeable, and I think he's really willing to listen to me talking and like sharing random stuff. And I think that's something very subtle and nuanced. But once you're able to be more conscious about it, there's something you can play around. And I think one takeaway from this video is like, even if you don't have a direct answer to the question, you can still sound pretty confident. You can still be grounded, right? You can still give up this, I know what I'm talking about vibe. And you have also your tonality goes downward because I sound very certain. Instead of being like, I actually don't have a project like that. Like as long as I give that tonality, it's fucked up, right? So you want to avoid doing that. And also notice how I buy myself some time. It's like initially when I was being asked about that, I did not have anything. I couldn't come up with anything. But then I was just like, okay, so how would you define this? It's like I asked this question in a very assertive way. I'm pretty grounded. I don't show that I am uncomfortable. That kind of just challenged the interviewer in some way. And he started questioning himself, be like, am I not being clear about my question? Like he's trying to explain himself to me. And that gives me a lot to work with, and also give me some time to think about, okay, what can I do next, right? Where can I redirect this topic to? But then again, I think this is still just a point of reference and example. It's by no means something you can copy 100% because it's highly situational. There's lots of variance in that, depending on the person you're talking with, depending on the specific questions. Obviously, I did not walk into that interview with a strategy, be like, hey, if I was being asked a certain question, I don't know what to answer, or like something I was never prepared for, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use this line. I'm gonna redirect the conversation. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's something that comes more naturally. And obviously the interview is like more improvised in those scenarios. It's like testing your real reaction. And I think for an interviewer, that's gold. Like they want to see your authenticity. They want to see who you are. They want to see your real reaction. And that's what's telling them who you are as a person. And if you're someone that's struggling with interviews, as an option, I would recommend you to try find a mentor or a coach, because you practice a lot, but you probably still don't know what you're doing wrong. It's like you're not fixing the issue that's getting you stuck. So if you get some advice or feedback, or I guess some sort of blueprint from someone that you think is better, I feel like it might be a little better for you, but that's totally up to you. All right, so that's all for today. And I'd like to hear from you guys. So drop a comment, ask me questions, and I'll see you.